Então, sim. Quanto tempo? Hello. Onde é que eu me sento? Aqui? Ok. Só um tempinho. Ok, carregar inicial. Não, tenho uma portátil que tem entrada da HDMI, dá para ligar ao isto. Falamos daqui, não é? Não, mas eu posso falar daí, desde que eu ligo o portátil. Onde é que eu vou falar? Aqui? Sim, tudo bem. Tenho um pequeno problema com isso. Windows? É isso mesmo. Dá. Posso ligar para o jogo. Já fiz isso. Partilho o ecrã. Yeah. Ok. Sim. Obrigado a isto. Primeira vez que isto se ocorre hoje, assim, se tirou os tempos que eu conheço, preciso mas pegou. Ok, não funciona. A própria jornada não estou tendo sorte com às vezes liga, às vezes não liga. Mas a gente está a dizer que sou de confiança. Não, nem pensar nisso. A última vez que eu esqueci de apagar os significados todos e voltar a questão de ser. Não, mas eu disse que o acesso próprio. Não, já está ligado. Viva é do Obrigado. Não sei se tem computador. Isto é a J45. É? Não, mas eu não preciso de ligação interna, está bom, se não for para pôr o Zoom. Ok. Que tal? Yeah, it does work. Aí está ele. Ok. Não, mas se eu quiser fechar agora, quer deixar agora e passar por aqui, é só clicar. Agora passo outra vez aqui para o Ok. Ok, tudo bem, no problem. Ok, vamos começar.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So here we are, finally starting our international conference on intelligent reality, the third edition. That I'm pleased to welcome all of you to this fantastic city. Hope that you will have the opportunity to visit Coimbra and know a little bit about its history. So we will have a very good number of speakers in this conference. And I hope that you will also have the opportunity to enjoy the quality of the works that are going to be presented during these days, these 2 days. I forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Paul Nils. I'm the general chair of this conference, and I would like to invite the program chair, David Calenda, to present.
Hello everyone, so we'll also test the microphone. My name is Davide Calanda, from the Polytechnic of Turin in Italy, so I'm an outsider here. And I'm the program co-chair along with also other two who cannot be here today, Gaetano Valenza and also Ali Albedi, which I salute if they are working, seeing us from home. And I'm honored to be here as a program co-chair. It was a very, let's say, we had not so much time to organize this conference, so it was a challenge, but we have many participants, and we thank you for coming here and participating. Thank you, Paolo.
Thank you. Yeah, it's true. In fact, this was a real challenge to organize this in such a short time, but we are pleased to have received so many contributions in this short time. Now I would like to invite our Dean, Professor Edmund Monteiro, to say a few words.
So, thank you, Paulo. So my name is Edmund Monteiro, as Paul said. I'm the Dean of this Faculty of Science and Technology. And the Faculty of Science and Technology is one of the faculties of the University of Coimbra that is quite old, from the 12th century. But our faculty, we are much younger, so only 200 years. And all the engineering departments, and they are more recent, so only 40 years ago were created. So this, so we are very happy to host this event, and so it's a very important event, and the topic is of course very relevant, and we are expecting very interesting presentations and keynotes, and we have our keynote today is one of reputed scientists in the area of virtual VR, and I'm looking forward for his keynote. So the conference is organized by the ICIR, Institute for Systems and Robotics. Is a large institute. It's an institution that actually ICIR is here in Coimbra, but also in Lisbon and Oporto. Is a large research institution in the area of systems and robotics. So, but they also include other areas like materials, and of course computer vision that is related, cognitive systems, AI, and virtual reality. So the city, so Coimbra is a very nice small city, so the weather is perfect for this time of the year, and I hope you enjoy the city and the social program that is also, as I know, I have some insights about it, is also very attractive. So, and I wish you all an inspiring conference, and all the best, and please, I give my now the
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so David will take the lead now.
Okay, thank you, Paolo. And I will introduce you our first keynote speaker, which is Joaquim Jorge, that is a professor of the Istituto Tecnico Superiore of the University of Lisbon, and he holds the chair of the UNESCO chair on artificial intelligence and extended reality. And he's also a senior researcher at the INES ID, and has served as in the IEEE Computer Society Board of Governors since 2023. He's also an adjunct professor of Victoria University of Wellington and honorary invited professor at the Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro. He is a fellow of Eurographics and a distinguished member of IEEE and ACM. And he currently serves as the editor-in-chief of the journal Computer and Graphics. And his talk has the title Xavier, Explainable Artificial Intelligence and Virtual Reality for Enhanced Radiology.
So, good morning everybody. Thank you very much for this kind invitation to talk a little bit about my work here. I'm keen on the topics of this conference, and thank you very much for the kind introduction. Indeed, the topic intelligent reality is very dear to my heart. I organized a couple of conferences at SIGGRAPH Asia on the topic, and I'm going to talk about the reality part first, and hopefully I'll talk about the intelligent part second, although I'm more keen on reality than intelligence. So, the motivation. For a couple of years that me and my group we have been working on the applications of visualization, virtual and augmented reality to medical applications, and of course you know that computer graphics and visualization has its advantages when it comes to process medical data, because it is difficult to understand the data that is provided to us by medical equipment and applications. We have to keep in mind to relate this information that appears in 3 different planes to 3D, and so we feel that volume visualization can improve our understanding of reality. And of course it can also be good for teaching and learning. So the fact that attracts me in virtual reality is the immediacy of the control and the senses that you get through an immersive experience. And there's a more intimate relationship between the person, the user and the data. And it's also very good for collaboration. So let me go back a couple of years talking about Project Xavier, how it came about. So we wanted to test whether virtual reality can improve the usability and the effectiveness of X-ray diagnostics. So a couple of years ago we did an experiment with radiologists. So for those in the know, these are very early Oculus Rift equipment, not very high in resolution, but excellent in other terms, in terms of field of view, price, cost, performance ratio, etc. And we wanted to see if radiologists could improve their approach by using virtual reality, because they have a couple of problems. One of those problems has to do with the fact that they have to operate in controlled illumination conditions, and they have to make sure that they look at the radiographs, the data, the images at a straight angle, so that they do not confuse specular or side effects of illumination for features in the radiography and those misdiagnosed. So we figured out, hey, virtual reality is fantastic, because if you immerse the person in a controlled environment, you solve the illumination problem, because the only thing they see is the only light that we generate to the head-mounted display in front of their eyes. And we can make sure that they are in front of the data. So we published our findings in the CAI conference. So we call this room virtual reality for radiologists in the reading room, and this compares, in our view, favorably to the conventional equipment that they have because of the problems that I mentioned. And so you can immerse them in an experience. I'll just show a short video that illustrates what we wanted to do. Yeah. And so this is also available on YouTube. But you can see Mauritius now no longer a PhD student, but is a researcher at illustrating the problems with illumination and point of view. And what we tried as much as possible to replicate the sitting environment of radiologists. See, you have a frame that captures gestures of up to 16 fingers on the table. We discovered that radiologists prefer to work sitting at the table, so we try to reproduce as much the working environment, but try to go away as much as possible from the conventional settings of mouse, windows and display. And as you can see, people can control the visualizations through simple gestures, and this is what they see. A very simple user interface. We are still operating on this assumption. So you might find it odd or funny that we are using a 3D visualization device to inspect radiographs and other 2D data, but our preliminary results seem to be viable. We did test this with a small cohort of 6 specialists: radiology, neuroradiology, gynecology, obstetrics, surgery, dental implantology. 5 of them had no previous experience with VR, but they were able to diagnose that data set. They identified the fracture without any prompting for us, despite the fact that the Oculus kit they used was of much lower resolution and characteristics in comparison with much more expensive equipment that they would use in the reading room. So that prompted 2 observations, and I'm going now back to the Xavier topic. Hopefully part of this will be about intelligence. Once I get, okay. Okay, so far so good, right? We are using 3D to visualize 2D, no big deal. When I was on a sabbatical visit to New Zealand, in Wellington, I had the occasion to talk to specialists in radiology, and he said there's a shortage actually of radiologists, and we have a problem of getting to educate new radiologists, and B, get to transfer the knowledge of the more seasoned professionals to younger practitioners. And at the time, we have the new generation of equipments that feature eye tracking has started to appear. I mean, eye tracking has long been a very expensive modality to use in desktop environments or conventional radiology, but now you can buy for 700 euros or even less than that an equipment that is eye tracking capable. And our research question is now that if we use VR, head-mounted displays, to make hospital reading rooms more accessible, radiology reading rooms more accessible, can we make them competitive with conventional installations? And actually you can take, thanks to the advances in communications technology, you can take VR headset just about anywhere and visualize images from just about anywhere, and even invite colleagues from afar to give a second opinion on what you see. And so from those key insights, the idea that you can capture following eye tracking data, the challenge to interpret those eye tracking data, we'll get to that in a minute, and the opportunity to take medicine and radiology to remote environments at an affordable cost, which is happening. I believe the future is VR because of the market. I don't know if you have any idea, but Meta has sold over a dozen million of the devices, of their devices. So clearly, if there will be a market for this, they will dominate. They're becoming very affordable now. You can really buy, I expect, for 300 euros or less, excellent equipment with high resolution, large field of view, and high tracking. And so we want to understand what people do in terms of visualization. Come on. And so another important factor that happened at the time, okay, there's been something like 3 or 4 years, but we still remember the pandemic. And some of the radiologists also noted to me that the need and the motivation for telemedicine is that sometimes it's not the patient who's sick, but the doctor. And COVID-19 provided us with a very important and useful case for telemedicine. And that's again an argument in favor of using portable equipment, high resolution and good conditions to perform image analysis. And so, now the intelligent part. So how do you transfer knowledge? Or how do you figure out how a specialist in imagology looks at an image and produces her diagnostic on the basis of the data? And how can you infer what they are about to, what they are interested in on an image based on their high tracking patterns? And so, this is the idea. You can see several images where you have the original chest X-ray data, and then you have problems in the image classification from conventional neural network devices and applications. They tend to look at the wrong data in the image. And that's one of the reasons that the radiologists that we've been working with, they feel a bit suspicious about the direct use of AI or machine learning for diagnostics. It's not that it's not improving, it is improving. The performance of classifiers has improved dramatically in the last few years. But there's one subsisting problem. You have no idea how a neural network arrived at a given classification or why the diagnostics is what it meant to be. And you cannot question the black box model about what features in the image prompted you to suggest this patient has congestive heart failure or other medical related problems. And so the radiologists question, how can we trust a black box that we cannot question? Because if you ask a specialist about the reasons behind the diagnosis based on an X-ray, they will point you and say, well, look at this feature in the image here. This is problematic, and this is why I say that you have a health problem. You cannot question a neural network. It will just say. You don't know which features or which groups of pixels or what the image densities cause that. And from that, the problem arises, how can we trust the application of the diagnostics produced by machine learning application? And the question then becomes, what is the trade-off? Where is the point? Would you trust, or would you be willing to trust the diagnostics produced by an application in 5 minutes that you know that there's a 10% probability of misdiagnosis, or wait 3 months for an expert that will give you an answer with 97% confidence. And that's the question here, because trust is blind. And in our community, human-computer interaction, virtual reality, there has come to the push to say, well, we need to improve the status of things, and we need to develop trustworthy AI applications. So we should really feel that I control the application, and not the application controls me, that I cannot question the results, its results, and find out what it's about, or what it's wrong, or have an expert level diagnostics. Still, so low levels of trust lead to low adoption. And so these factors together, the idea that we have now affordable equipment, high resolution, that performs very well, and that we have almost internet available everywhere in the planet, that has taken us to this idea behind the project XAVIER, which stands for Explainable AI and VR for Enhanced Radiology. I'm not exactly a fan of X-Men, but it helps. So, the whole gist of the project is to combine AI, predictive capabilities, with the interactivity and the intimacy of data afforded by virtual reality to promote A, explainability, and B, trust. So, I already talked to you about remote collaboration. The motivations for that are twofold: to make medicine accessible in places, or to make it possible for people to use that even when the doctor is sick, and sicker, probably sicker than the patient. Responsiveness and interactive exploration of data that are afforded by the equipment. And natural language dialogues, that's of course become fashionable with the adoption of large language models, although I'm not going to go deeper into that. And we can have predictive analysis and the possibility of talking to your application, which talks back to you, and hopefully will promote understandability and therefore trust. So the 5 pillars that our project XAVIER stands on is eye tracking, machine learning, extended reality, remote diagnostics, and radiology training. The problem there is that eye tracking gives you different types of data. So going back to the idea of using eye tracking to capture the knowledge of experts. Eye tracking is a difficult modality. It is very noisy, and it is not totally clear at times what you do. So you get from the eye fixations, you get saccades, which are rapid movements of the eyes. You can cover, you can move from one point in the visual field to the other point in less than 30 milliseconds. And then you have fixations, which are points or areas of the image where the eye tends to fixate in an area of vision less than 1 degree. And what we see here, there are other data sets where we can see the patterns of fixation of expert radiologists, and we've been using that to try and figure out how eye tracking works. And so we want to investigate the radiologist's cognitive maps. What were they looking at? Where were they looking at? And what were they saying when they were looking at this region? Why they looked at this region for so long? And want to investigate what gives them motives for puzzling. This is a very noisy figure. If you collect points at a rate of 1 each millisecond, you get a cluster of saccades and fixations that make it a bit difficult to understand what were the radiologists looking at and what they were thinking, because that's what we want to get. So we want to investigate how radiologists trained in different countries, New Zealand, Australia, United States, Portugal, among others, are looking at the different parts of the image. We want to know if they follow different routines, they get different training, look at the 5 different areas of the image in sequence. And these routines are relevant to their decision-making process, and then it is important to understand what caught their attention. Was there a particular lesion or features that elicited their interests? And here you can see, for instance, these ellipses are produced by radiologists after they examine an image. And here is an example of X-ray data. You can see from a public data set called Reflex, a data set of reports on eye tracking for localization of abnormalities in chest X-rays. You can see a movie of where a given radiologist was looking at. And then we have their diagnostics and also their speech. So they can zoom in, they can pan on the image, and they can, for sure, they can identify the regions, and here you can see a menu where they select different. In this case, it was a large cardiac silhouette. And now our challenge is, can we reproduce their trains of thought when they were looking at the image? And there, let me give you an example. Here we see eye patterns, eye gaze patterns from 3 groups of radiologists that were looking at the same image. And on one of them, you can find first-year students that had no idea what they were looking for, and they were not able to diagnose the lesion. In another of them, you have second-year students who had a better idea and struggled a little bit with the image, but eventually they arrived at the correct diagnostics. And on another, you have an expert that got to the lesion and produced the diagnostics. So where do you think that the beginners are? Rightmost, leftmost? The rightmost, right? Intermediate guys. Middle one, right? And so here you have the expert. So as you can see, training does a lot and helps a lot. And even here, from this data, you can see that the expert radiologist did not take too long to fixate on the correct diagnosis. So this is the kind of expert analysis that we want to capture. And so one of the goals of our developing a training application, which is still a little bit in the future, is to be able to capture the attention patterns and the skills that take you from here to here. So we have to look at how they look at. So it's important to see what were the decision-relevant parts of the eye tracking data, and we want to use eye tracking data to take input from expert radiologists, understand how they are looking at the image, and perceive what is behind the fixation patterns, and then we can use those to compare with trainee radiologists to tell them, hey, you have not looked at this and this and this parts of the image. Some studies are being conducted at this. Some of the challenges are that radiologists are usually too busy to talk to crazy computer scientists like us because they are too busy saving lives, and that's also a barrier. Luckily for us, we have found half a dozen radiologists that have been able to work with us and that have been willing to put up with our craziness and make a science event. So, the question is, does every experienced radiologist have a predictable, reproducible pattern of looking at images? And we don't know yet whether that's culture independent or whether Australian radiologists look at images in a way different from Americans or from Portuguese, given that different ways in which the speciality is taught in different countries. So we know that they follow a pattern. We won't have enough data to know whether the patterns are common. So looking at the reflex data set, we published this last year, by the way. We have a master student who took a look at different images, and what he did was he averaged the fixations over all the radiographs. We have more than 1,000 in the public reflex data set. And produced consolidated heat maps for all the radiographs in a given set. So here we have the average fixations when they are in silence. So they first look at the image in silence, and then they start producing a report. The upper image corresponds to the silence fixations. This is for the average over healthy subjects. This is for congestive heart failure, and this is for pneumonia. And the interesting thing is that the gaze patterns shift when they are producing the report. We know that because we have the speech acts that led to the report, so we can also know what they were looking at when they were speaking. And we can see different patterns here. So, interestingly enough, we also are taking a look at how their gaze patterns evolve over time, and we are using Markov models to model their fixation patterns and how they look at. Here you can have an example of each point represents a fixation, and this is how their gaze works in silence. Each of these boxes corresponds to one of the anatomical regions that I identified in the previous X-ray. And that's nice because in the data set we also have these identifications. And then this is their gaze patterns when they are reporting. The patterns shift. So this is the upper mediastinum, sorry. Then they look at left higher structures, right lung, right clavicle, and so forth. We believe that there might be an interesting explanation here. This is still ongoing work, and I have no conclusive results, but we believe that if we look at the temporal fixation patterns, we might get good data. So, how are we applying machine learning to the problem? So, what we want now is to look at the reports and say, well, this is an example of a radiograph, and what the radiologist was looking at and what they produced as a report. Moderately severe pulmonary edema is new and accompanied by small bilateral pleural effusions. And we are now working with large language models to break this report into sentences that we can extract relevant sentences from the reports and correlate with features in the radiograph. And yes, this being 2024, while using large language models. Because large language models can produce fluent English, and that's probably the best and only reading value. No kidding. But people tend to think that large language models are like ketchup. They improve the flavor of every food they are applied to. But there's a strong problem with large language models is that people tend to confuse language with intelligence. And large language models excel at language, but intelligence, well, depends on your definition of intelligence. But they produce articulate English, articulate Portuguese, Russian, Catalan, and so forth. But the problem is that they can articulately give you totally false data, and we need to be more reliable than politicians. So we try to extract explainability from the radiographs using knowledge graphs. And the nice feature about knowledge graphs is that you can ground the knowledge in publicly available data, namely for sites like Radiopedia, and try to make sense of the interpretation of large language models and tame them. So the query, you can say, well, why is the heart enlarged? And the answer, the heart is enlarged because the cardiothoracic ratio has value x over y greater than 0.5. The heart may be enlarged, so this is the explanation, and then this is the kind of output that we can get. So we can get, hopefully, this is again work in progress, we can get that explainability via knowledge graphs and large language models. So what we are working on is taking the radiology report from the atomic database, apply an LLM framework, get a knowledge graph from there, and through there we can have a model that is questionable in the sense that you can ask queries about the meaning and what originated some of these relations. And then we can relate that to fixations in the eye tracking. So, I'm running a little bit out of time. So let me, so starting from the website, we found out, thanks to our interactions with radiologists, that it's important to have clinical data and not just pixels to look at images, and radiologists told us that, although the most approaches that you have in X-ray analysis tend to rely just on pixels. And one thing that we found out is that if we apply data fusion, if you want to know the details, please look at our paper from last year in Nature Scientific Reports about how we can increase performance of classification by combining images with clinical data. And the challenge there is to merge the two. We were able to improve classification in a discernible way. And so we have come up with a thing which we call MDF, multimodal dual fusion net, which combines, for producing reports, combines X-rays data, image data with clinical data to improve classification. So this gets back to some of other initiatives that I will gloss over quickly. We want to see our radiologists analyze CT scans, and now we are going back to 3D. Sorry, maybe I'm talking too much about too much results. I still have 5 minutes to...
Yeah, more than that.
Okay, so I told you that, so part of Xavier is looking at 2D data from using 3D equipment. But we've also been working on things like how can we analyze 3D images and improve colorography. One of us, a person in my group, developed a simulator for colonoscopy. And this exemplifies what they are doing. They do physical simulation. Now we're talking about physical simulation, 3D visualization, and virtual reality to simulate and train operation, performing the actual colonoscopy. This was published in SIGGRAPH this year. And it's now it's the third dimension that we look at ways in which radiologists analyze CT scans. This is ongoing work. Our idea is to arrive at the colon segmentations to avoid that painful exam that is the colonoscopy. We want to go from colonoscopy to colonography and virtual colonography in this case. So it's much preferable to have a CT scan or an MRI taken from your innards and then reconstruct the organs that you are interested in and then look at them. Again, this is examples from, this is NETS certified tracking, and this is one of our kind radiologist, Dr. Isabel Nolan, who kindly has tried to work out with our prototype. We are using eye tracking here to help radiologists in looking at the virtual reconstruction of the colon. The red parts of the image identify those sections that have not been looked at, and the blue parts identify those that have been looked at using data collecting from the eye tracking device inside the head-mounted display, and then you can navigate through the colon at different speeds, identify lesions, and annotate them. And this is what you can see. You can do bookmarking parts, for instance. Oh, and this might be a polyp. Let me put the bookmark there. You can also see in the original image data set where you are. That's what this map is here for. You can make measurements and so forth. And so it is the eye tracking powered heat map. As you can see, the heat map is changing color. And you can use the world in miniature image to navigate the colon, so you can have an idea as the radiologist what parts of the colon you have examined or not. And so this is the mini-map of the colon, and the mini-map also shows you those images. So our vision is to create a radiology reading room of the future. We are working, this is what you can see here is a novel interface that we are developing, hands-free for the radiologists, now using head movements instead of just gestures. We're trying to use a combination of head movements and gestures to analyze the data, and we are trying now this novel application with radiologists. So the take-home messages from our application is that machine learning and extended reality create a very powerful synergy that redefines how radiologists interact with diagnostic tools, moving beyond 2D screens to immersive, data-driven experiences. We are, one of the keystones of our vision is to bridge the gap between developed and less developed regions. We are currently working with Tanzania, Cape Verde, and Duke University to make this vision come true. The idea is to devise portable VR and AI-powered diagnostic tools to bridge the healthcare gap by bringing expert radiology services to remote areas. And this is still our Shangri-La, where we want to improve radiology training with AI and VR. I offered you a glimpse. It's not totally materialized yet, but we believe that we have a bright future in the combination of machine learning and VR, and that's why I'm really thankful for this opportunity to bring about this work that I've been doing with Professor Catarina Moreira, I should also mention Anderson Maciel, who's working on the colonography and the colonoscopy simulation, and José Neves, our student, who is working on large language models and knowledge graphs, and maybe half a dozen of master students and doctoral students in my group. And with that, I thank you for your attention and for the kind invitation.
Thank you, Holger. I I'll ask to the public. Okay.
It's working.
I'll ask the public if there are questions first. Anyone?
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation and for accepting the challenge of coming to present this to this public. I have one short question on the, because typically when we talk about virtual reality, we are much more focused on the visual part. Do you think that haptics can also play a role, and how difficult do you think that it can be to integrate in this field that you are exploring?
Oh, haptics, definitely. I have a colleague that talks about two-sense virtual reality, which is a pun and a play of words on this fusion of using just sight and sound as the two key modalities. Our colleagues, they use haptics here in the sense that they get force feedback from the simulation, the physical simulation of trying to operate this instrument. For instance, this is a task where haptics clearly improves the sensation of dealing with a real patient. And so here clearly in these situations you should have the problem with virtual reality and sight and sound is that you have this feeling of not touching things or the objects that are not there. If you provide force feedback or have the haptics modalities, you increase the sense of immersion, and it's been shown that you can improve the training results for sure. So the sense of reality is there. But we are still missing other senses. We have sight, we have smell, we have tastes, temperature, etc. But some of them fall in the realm of haptics. So it's important for us to use more than just sight and sound. And we are doing research in this case. We plan to use haptics definitely to improve the training rates and the effectiveness of this training package. So definitely we are moving beyond with new equipment and new capabilities beyond this two-sense virtual reality.
Okay. I have another question. That's again the colonoscopy part. Another aspect that is different with the real one is that when you do a real colonoscopy, you have to manipulate the patient, and you can modify, as we have seen in the video, the shape, maybe also to see something that's not clear at the first sight. With the fully virtual reality approach, we have a static reconstruction of the organ, and maybe you will lose some, say, aspects that you cannot see. Is it difficult to do something like a real-time reconstruction on the patient while doing this?
Oh, I see what you mean. So it is possible. This scenario here employs physical simulation, okay? But there is one problem there. We are using in this scenario for the training purposes estimated properties of tissues. Now, if you can say, oh, this is a healthy tissue, the elasticity modulus is such and such, the deformation allowed for this kind of force is so many centimeters. We are not doing this, that when you perform colonography, you are not using real-time data. You are taking images, 3D, you are doing a reconstruction from a 3D image data set, would be magnetic resonance or CAT scan, and those data are immovable. What we can do is to simulate and try to infer physical properties from image properties, but that takes more than one doctoral dissertation to come about. It will take a lot of research to go from image data here to infer more than geometric configuration of the column walls. You need to see how how healthy is this tissue? How old is the patient? How elastic is the surface? And so people tend to think that if we can simulate, then it becomes reality, but that's because we live in the era of fake news. You have to create an elastic model for the colon, and somehow, and that's years beyond the state of the art, relate those physical properties to stuff that you can get from shades of gray in a 3D MRI or CT scan. So, yeah, you can do a simulation in real time, but it's not the patient's real time, it was what the patient looked like yesterday or 2 hours ago.
Great, thank you. And other questions?
Thank you, Professor, for the talk. Unfortunately, I missed the first part. You used an expression like radiology, reading room of the future.
Yes.
What do you mean by reading room? Is that my first question?
Okay, yeah, thank you. You missed the better part, it had more videos. So we published a paper a couple of years ago called Virtual Reality Radiology Reading Room, or room for short. So the radiology reading room of the future will be a head-mounted display, and I explained why it's important to control the viewing conditions. And one thing I did not mention was cost as a factor. Those displays that radiologists currently use, they are not on the cheap, they cost like in excess of 2,000 euros. Depending on the quality of the display, they can cost more because the market is relatively small. The virtual reality reading room of the future for radiologists brings about the promise that head-mounted displays are becoming more and more capable in terms of resolution, dynamic range for the display, and other ergonomic factors like accommodation versus conflict, and they are becoming so much more inexpensive and affordable. And thanks to communication technologies, we can make this technology available everywhere.
Thank you. My other question is, as in endoscopy, you can try to guess the distance where an injury is. My question is, that research group is researching and tracking the camera, something that goes through the colon and detects in what position towards there is an injury or so. Working in tracking systems inside the colon.
Wait, so what you estimating dimensions?
Not just dimensions, but the position, the distance, where
Yeah.
the injury is, for instance.
Yeah, you can know, because you know where you are inside the reconstruction, you can relate that to the imaging data set, one. And second, one of my arguments in favor of MRI or CT scan based colonoscopy is that you can do something that you cannot do in a traditional colonoscopy, which is looking at the walls and the inside of the walls of the colon and detect lesions that otherwise would go undetected by optical means. Of course, you cannot operate because it's virtual reality, but there are advantages and disadvantages. And our Shangri-La is to make it possible to perform virtual colonographies without the need to prepare the patient. It's a cumbersome and very not unpleasant exam. And so that's what we're trying to get at. Ask me in 3 years.
3 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? I have another one. You talked about eye tracking as a main source of data, but there could be also other, let's say, data that could be used, maybe gestures. Now that they will maybe try to use systems like this where they are not on a desk using a mouse only, so they will use more the body, so we could be like other data also.
Yes.
Useful.
Okay, the interesting thing that, so I come from an HCI and computer graphics background. So the interesting and most rewarding insight that we've gotten from this is that it pays to finally talk to radiologists and understand how they perform their tasks. We thought that the colonoscopy or colonography would be doing with the radiologist standing, and they said, no, we don't do that. We tend to analyze hundreds of radiographs in one session, and we do that sitting. So that's why we took the sitting position as a starting point at the table. And now, there are interesting devices come like the Apple Vision Pro that have cameras pointing downwards. And we are exploring that to make, say, two-finger gestures to make measurements. And so, yeah, we are currently evaluating whether a mouse, gestures, and things like this. That was, I did not explain to that, but that was, we are exploring now a version which we call Head Zoom, in which a radiologist has zoomed just by moving their head forward. We capture the movements of the head, and then they can do zoom and pan. That was in one of the videos I did show. I'm sorry, I did not explain this, but this is the radiologist is moving their head, and no mouse, no hands, just body gestures. So yes, I believe there's a strong future in making interactions more natural. And well, this is work in progress, but we are already tested with 70 people, and more non-radiologists, unfortunately, are now going to test with radiologists. And hopefully, I'll let you know the results in a couple of weeks or months.
Thank you. Well, my next question was, is being tested with radiologists, but you already...
Yeah,
so.
we have already collected close to 40 observations with 40 different people.
Thank you. Okay. Always ask someone else questions.
I was just curious, how do radiologist doctors get trained? And what can you learn from them to train your systems?
That's a good question. We only know what we know by talking to radiologists, senior radiologists. We are trying to get in, we are developing a memorandum of understanding with the Faculty of Medicine in our university to be able to follow radiologist training courses so we can learn how we can provide help with virtual reality and machine learning. So right now, we know that they get taught the same way airplane pilots get taught about. First you look at this point, then you look at this point, then you look here, and they have ABCDE, where that's an acronym for the different regions of the radiograph that they're looking at. They mostly learn from experience, and from the images and the high fixation patterns I showed to you, they learn a lot by just looking at radiographs and comparing their diagnoses with other more experienced practitioners. And that's one of the things we expect to harness with machine learning and the VR, to be able to have an agent of a bot telling them, oh, you missed this, or you should have done this, by looking at their temporal fixation patterns and reference data. But yes, we have a lot to learn about how radiologists are taught.
Because I expect sometime in the future it will be a collaborative work, and the artificial part will do the legwork, and then the doctor has to certify and find new things.
That is one of the wish lists that the radiologists have shared with us. They said, I wish that I had a reliable machine learning tool that would get rid of 85% of the trivial cases and leave the doctor house part to me.
My question is similar to the previous one, and I'm just wondering, because these radiologists they need to use VR for the experiments, right?
Yeah.
Were there any, let's say, errors caused by these radiologists when they are in VR? Because when they have to look at certain lenses, maybe because it's new to them, and they will cause some bias or mistakes, and how much that costs them?
I don't have cost estimates. One thing that I can tell you is that if you show the same radiograph to 5 different radiologists, you'll get 5 different assessments. Okay? And I don't know if that's a good thing. About the data on the costs incurred by misdiagnosis, I don't have that, but that's one of the ideas that we figured that virtual reality would be great, is that you can summon somebody from, Mount Sinai, let's say, and ask them for 10 minutes of their time, what is your opinion about this? And they can get in the same virtual environment as you are, point at the radiograph and issue their second opinion without the need of flying them over. And so we have the vision. I don't have the estimates about what the cost of misdiagnosis might be, but they can be serious depending on the lesion that they miss.
Thank you. A final question from me. We talked about radiology in particular. Are there other medical fields that you think that all of these, let's say, systems can be useful to medical or?
Yes.
Okay.
So 3D virtual reality can be most interesting. Okay, 2 things. One immediate. It is already being used in certain contexts like breast surgery, oncological, for operation planning, surgical planning. We believe that you can use CT scans of thorax and abdominal cavity to also prepare minimally invasive surgery. That's also some area of research that I'm interested in. For instance, suppose you are a radiologist and you are looking at a CT scan of the lungs of an infant that has a lesion there, and you have to figure out how to get to that lesion without opening the thoracic cavity. You can use virtual reality to visualize the place where the lesion is, and then using search to find out a path back from that zone to the upper respiratory tract, and then you can find you can show that visually to the surgeon so that they can use that to plan the operation, to insert the catheter, get to the lesion's locus, and do the operation. And those are just examples of what you can do. You can do the same for cardiac surgery, non-open chests, and many other kinds of non-invasive surgery where you can use the visualizations afforded by virtual reality and image reconstruction to do better surgical planning and even follow-up, again, from medical imaging.
Thank you. There are no other questions. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. I love it.
So I have a small souvenir with some wonderful products and I'll just when she says can find it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, Kunimliga. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now it's time for the coffee break. We are moving upstairs for that and we will come back to the next session.
Thank you. This was I love the place. questions to ask. And yeah. It's always exciting to be able to share some of the stuff. In terms of industry and culture. Oh, really? Oh, excellent. So you should probably stay. Okay, sure. Well, you might even be interested in organizing a special section of your journal on dramatic issues. I'm very receptive. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah. 20-something years ago, I started with doing the special issue on my interest at the time, and it was a very interesting experience. Oh, I forgot to say, we are organizing, so we have a conference on ICIR in Lisbon in January. I forgot to tell that. That was one of my goals for this topic that I fulfilled. And the other thing, we are organizing a workshop with Olivier in São Paulo. Oh, okay. So ours is XR4L. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. Well, if you want to submit something, our one is before Christmas. And this kind of topic. So, extended reality for health applications. I'll be happy to give that to you. You already have my contact, so excellent. Thank you.
Non so se posso lasciare la roba qua. Cosa? Non so capire se posso lasciare la roba qua, c'è chiuso.
So our session, the one I'm co-sharing will be after the coffee break.
Yeah.
Okay. And it will be here as well.
Yeah.
I think so. It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So this starts with just in charge and Bruno will close the right. Will close it. Thank you.
Ok. Obrigado pelo convite, mais uma vez.
Let's close the room. So you will stay inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so you might join using the discussion. This is the phone ID password. It's already loaded.
Yes, and the share screen. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to figure that out. I'm guessing the presentations are already here, right? Yes. I hope. Yes, they are.
This is my bottom, I think. Or I'll take the I can share from this share.
Okay, so good morning everyone. We're about to start in 1 minute. I would just like to make a roll call of the presenters. So we do have the indication that two people are going to be online, but for the others. So let's see. For the first paper, by Monica Kauka, is there a presenter?
She's online.
She's the one online? Okay, great. Second paper, Hisan Grici, present. Third paper, Hari Gangalaram. Who? Where? Right there, thank you. Then we've got Alessandro Visconti. Then Jeffrey's online. And Mei Di Wong. No, but it's the final presenter, so we'll see. Perhaps she arrives meanwhile. Okay.
I've seen her around, so maybe it's outside.
Okay, so she probably will arrive. So may I call on the first presenter? So I'm guessing Mohammed, you are in contact with the online presenter?
It's a video for question and answer. She's gonna answer using.
Okay, so you just play the video?
Yeah.
And you can check if she's online for
She's online.
She's online.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so Jeff, thank you for being here. It's a nice set of audience. So I'll be co-chairing this session with Professor Joaquim Jorge over there. It is devoted to AI, extended reality, and virtual reality applications. And so the first paper by Monica Sarakauka, Alexandra Nikopoulos, Christos Tendoulis, and Ilias Kamisperakis is called 3D for XR, an AI-driven multi-input pipeline for 3D object generation in XR applications. And without further ado, I ask Mohammed to play the video. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Kauka, and I'm excited to present a short paper with the design and AI multi-input pipeline for 3D object generation in XR applications. Our goal focuses on simplifying the process of.
Can you make it a bit louder, please?
It's the maximum? Okay.
Play this.
Play it again, Sam.
Enabling XR level video using various tools like images and text through a single platform of video XR. I would also like to mention that our work was developed as part of the advancements are helping to tackle challenges of creating 3D models by human expertise. Then, in the methodology, we will describe the algorithms and the integration process for creating a unified platform for multimodal 3D object simulation. Next, we'll describe the evaluation process to see how effective our platform is in real-world scenarios. Finally, we'll conclude by sharing our key takeaways and different directions for improvements. The high-quality 3D content is crucial for immersive text applications. However, it remains costly and time-consuming for industries trying to explore exact technology's benefits, and it is also inaccessible to non-expert users without technical skills. To address these challenges, we leverage the recent advancements in computer vision and artificial intelligence, which offer new opportunities and can be used to simplify and accelerate the 3D content generation. We aim to develop a user-friendly platform capable of generating photorealistic 3D models from three types of input: multiple images, a single image, and a text description. The multi-view 3D reconstruction aims to generate a 3D model for multiple overlapping images. The traditional multi-view 3D reconstruction typically involves two steps: structure from motion and multi-view stereo, which work well for many scenarios but may struggle with textureless, shiny, or reflective surfaces. A recent approach, already in its field, holds the potential for reconstructing this kind of surfaces by leading an increasing volumetric representation of the 3D scene. Unlike the multi-view reconstruction method, which rely on multiple images to build a 3D model, the single image 3D prediction methods aim to estimate the 3D models from just one image. This approach is challenging because a single image lacks the structural information provided by multiple views, making resolving the ambiguities in depth and geometry harder. Lastly, the method that generates 3D content from text prompts aims to estimate 3D structure from text prompt. Generating 3D models directly from input prompt is challenging due to the unavailability of 3D training data. Therefore, many approaches separate the text to 3D generation in text to image and then image to 3D steps. We also adopted this technique. We developed two services for multi-view 3D reconstruction. The first service utilizes traditional photographic techniques, and the second relies on MERS methodology. Our photogrammetric multi-view reconstruction implementation named Cooper is based on three open source libraries. We use column optimized parameters to estimate camera poses and generate dispersed or cloud. The OpenMVS estimates then the depth maps and extracts the 3D mesh, and finally, the MVS texture image generates texture maps given the images, camera poses, and the final mesh. The second multi-view 3D reconstruction pipeline is built upon the mesh method presented by Tang and all. The presented method generates a model in two stages. The first stage estimates the underlying geometry, and the second stage refines it. Here we present two 3D models generated by each pipeline. We utilize two algorithms for our single image implementation: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3%. Both algorithms combine the minimal resource demand with fast and efficient mesh generation. Users can select either algorithm to process an input image and generate the 3D model. We fine-tune the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 algorithm parameters to refine the generated mesh in our single image to 3D pipeline. In both services, we use a neural texture refinement pipeline based on the Trim-Gaussian algorithm to improve the texture reality. The process involves extracting an image texture from a vertex color mesh and applying the input image to the front side of the object. It also refines the remaining size of the predicted views to retain the visual consistency. provide a description with a custom guiding prompt to assist the algorithm in producing optimal images for the 3D reconstruction. The guiding prompt aims to eliminate random rotations and focus the object in the center of the image. Here we present two 3D models generated by each algorithm in single image to 3D and text to 3D pipeline. Here we present the process of generating 3D model by providing input for expenses. The accuracy of the generated 3D models depends critically on the maps estimated during the MBA process. So we evaluated geometric accuracy by comparing the generated maps with the corresponding ground truth ones. To do this, we utilize three synthetic datasets presented in the next paper that come with accurate ground truth maps. The generated maps reach similarity above 85% compared to the ground truth ones. On the other hand, we tested our single image to 3D pipeline using dataset of 70 movie scanned objects. We evaluated the geometric reality by comparing our generated 3D objects with the respective ground truth ones using the X-score metric at the point-to-point level. Our process included aligning the models using a customized implementation and manual refinement. Our results were categorized into three distinct groups: unsuccessful, successful, and operated. Based on the X-score, the most objects were categorized as either successful or operated, meaning they were generated successfully. We evaluated the texture meshes exported by two multi-view 3D reconstruction pipelines by computing the similarity score between the input image and views generated from capturing the 3D mesh. We use strip similarity as a metric for evaluating the structure. To capture the screenshots of the model, we utilize the intrinsics and the camera poses of the input views. Based on our observations, the photogrammetric process produces more photorealistic texture meshes. However, mesh yields more effective results for non-collaborative objects. On the other hand, we evaluated the mesh textures produced by single-image 3D prediction pipeline by sampling screenshots of the generated and graphic models of the movie scanned objects. Because our neural texture refinement procedure transfers the high-resolution input image on the front side of the predicted model, we separated the evaluation in two discrete modes: frontal view evaluation and full view evaluation. Due to the neural texture refinement process, the frontal view similarity metrics score higher than the full view ones. The evaluation of the text of the service was conducted in collaboration with non-expert users by generating various arbitrary objects suitable for XR applications and rating their correspondence to the text prompts. After an iterative process of refining the provided prompts, 71% of the objects were rated as successful, meaning that the 3D models effectively matched the text descriptions. Our 3D for XR platform is designed to assist non-expert users to generate 3D models optimized for XR applications. With our work, we aim to take a meaningful step towards making 3D content creation accessible to everyone. Looking ahead, we aim to further optimize 3D models by addressing size reduction and level of detail generation. We have already implemented some features to enhance the model quality and the performance. We are also developing a web application that simplifies 3D model generation and editing. Here you can see some screenshots from our web application. You can contact with us if you like to experiment with our web platform. Thank you very much for your attention.
Good, thank you so much. And I neglected to mention that Ms. Kauka was from, and her colleagues are from the company in Greece called Up2Metric, which is now displayed, of course, on the slides. Thank you. So we have 2 minutes for questions. I would like to ask before that Mr. Hisan Bilici from the next paper, if you could come here to be ready, so we could enjoy the most time for questions and answers. We do have Monica Sara in online, so who would like to make a question? Come on, this is a very exciting area to be in. Monica, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello everyone.
Oh, we do have, I was going to see the question. We do have a question from the audience. So, please, sir, please present yourself and place your question.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, so I'm Stephen Lee from Western Union University in Massachusetts, USA. So, this is 3D video or image generation. I think there are a lot of similar tools, like Google Gemini or Meta. They are all developing similar applications. So I saw you said that your algorithm is optimized for XR application.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just talk more about how that is optimized for XR application? And also basically what's the difference between your algorithm and other a lot of tools on the market from Google, Meta, all those big players?
Okay, so our platform is like a single platform when you can generate 3D meshes from different inputs. So it's not 3D model for multiple images, it's not just text to 3D, it's not just a single image to 3D, it's all three types of inputs that generate a 3D model. So if the user doesn't have many images of the desired object to reconstruct, he can just use one image or even a text. So this is like a novel idea. It's not just one type of input, it's three different types of input. And by saying that our models are exactly ready for the applications and immersive environments, we mean that they have a small size, they doesn't have many triangles, and also in the recent implementation that we've not mentioned in the paper because the project is going further, we give the user the opportunity to change the format of the meshes to FBX, GLB, and OBJ. The user will also be available to remesh the 3D models, so they will come with even lower number of triangles.
Thank you. We must move on to the next presentation. A round of applause for Monica. We do have next presentation with us here. You are Hisan, right? So Hisan Bilici and his colleagues from INRS at the University of Quebec in Canada and from the joint unit also at INRS at Canada. Please.
So thank you very much for the introduction. So indeed, this article main focus was on the user privacy. Okay, so thank you for the introduction. So mainly the focus of our article was to bring concerns about user privacy in the metaverse and to study the potential of EG identification through person identification, through EG data. So first, we have to discuss the fact that the metaverse is expected to grow, at least its market size is expected to grow exponentially through the upcoming decade. However, researches have been made on VR data and person identification through VR data. So here you can see on the below article that they made a study on 20 real-world apps, and they ended up with an accuracy of person identification up to 100%. So that can be done thanks to biosensors that can be embedded on the VR headset. So here you can see the EEG sensor, the EOG, PPG, etc. So here we only focus on EEG sensors, but the current trend is to embed more and more biosensors on this VR headset. So we will be able to achieve more consistently good classification on the user through EEG data. So this brings huge concerns about user privacy in the metaverse. So in this presentation, I will address two research questions. So the first one is, can we indeed infer subject identity from EEG data? So here you can see the pipeline of EEG-based person identification. So first we acquire data of subjects in different conditions. Afterwards we pre-process them. I will get back to it later. So we do feature extraction, and in the end we classify the subject through machine learning or to achieve the task of person identification. So as I said, we pre-process data because each data contains an artifact. This can be for artifacts related to technical issues such as power plug or issues on the monitoring, or it can be physiological artifacts such as eye pain, teeth clenchings, etc. These physiological artifacts are known to be unique to each person, so the question that we will ask is, are these artifacts relevant for user identification? So as for the experimental setup, we use the publicly available datasets that come from this article. So thanks to this dataset, we acquired the data of 37 subjects in a baseline condition. So it was a condition where subjects were asked to relax and close their eyes, or to open their eyes and fix a red cross on the screen. And afterwards, we retrieved the data of 39 subjects in two conditions. So the first one was called the motor movement condition, where subjects were asked to open and close their left or right hands, depending on the stimulus on the screen. So on this picture, you can see that the subject is asked to open and close his left hand. So thanks to this, we had the recording of EEG signals of 3 minutes each per subject in baseline condition, 2 EEG signals of 7.5 minutes in the motor movement condition, and 4 EEG signals of the same length in the motor imagery condition, which was a condition where people were asked to, this was similar to motor movement condition, but instead of moving their hands, people were asked to imagine this movement. So once we retrieved the data, we had to process them because of the presence of artifacts. So we pre-processed the data using two ways. So the first one was to do a minimal pre-processing. So here we only reduced the light noise frequency, so it's a step that you can see on the right. And we use also bandpass filtering. So this was intended to remove only technical artifacts. Afterwards, we pre-processed the data. So we separated the data and we pre-processed them thanks to the Happy software. So this was intended to remove both technical and physiological artifacts following this pipeline that you have on screen. So afterwards, we extracted the 4 categories of features in the data, and we ended up with more than 2,000 features. So this was considered as we considered that we had way too much features compared to our number of instances. So we decided to process feature selection through the minimal redundancy, maximum relevance algorithm. So this algorithm, its goal is to keep the best features based on their relevance for classification, but without keeping redundant features. So afterwards, we processed in the end the classification with random forest classifier. The important remark that I have is that since we perform user identification, we want to assign each subject to one class. So since we had 37 to 39 subjects, we had 37 to 39 classes to classify, to identify. So the chance level was around 2.6 to 2.7% accuracy. So compared to, for instance, binary classification, an accuracy of 50% would be considered as good. So we perform classification through a five-fold cross validation. So we stratified it by per subject, so which means that each subject is equally distributed in both training and testing fold. And indeed, the metric of performance was the accuracy. So we ended up with these two tables, so I cannot discuss these results, but I can make a few assumptions. So first of all, we observed that the accuracy in the motor-imagery condition was better than the other condition. This was expected because the motor-imagery is a task that is more unique to each person. Also, we observed that the feature fusion increased accuracy. So the feature fusion was when we kept only the best features of each categories and we combined them in a fusion fold. So with fusion fold having increased accuracy, this might imply that features are complementary. And in the end also, we can observe that the happy processed data reduced the accuracy. So since these data do not contain physiological artifact, we can understand that this artifact contains indeed relevant information for user identification. So as for the feature importance in the motor imagery condition, we have on the right the feature importance of minimal preprocessed data and on the right having preprocessed data. So we can see that CSP and PSD features seem to be more sensitive to artifact. Also that gamma, alpha, and beta band dominate in minimal processed signals, with in fact high frequencies such as gammas being more sensitive to physiological artifact. Also, we can see that the parietal area appeared in most of the top ranked features. So this is expected because the parietal area is known for its motor function. So to conclude, we saw that biosensors instrumented assets might enable user identification. Yeah. So this raises huge concerns about user privacy in the metaverse. Also, the motor imagery condition showed highest accuracy. So, as I said, it's because imagining a movement generates a unique EEG signature for each subject. And in the end, also we saw that the processing raw signals decreased accuracy. So, due to artifact, which may also be unique to each person. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping your time. We still have like 3 minutes for questions, but let me turn off the alarm. So, who would like to start? Back there, can you please present yourself for placing your question?
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea, I study here at the University of Coimbra. I have a question. Have you studied how does the variability in the EEG signal due to fatigue, changes of mood, or even the environment the person is inserted in affects the validation accuracy?
Since we...
have you studied the variability on the signals being collected? For example, if the person is not feeling okay today and they can change, so have you tried the signal testing multiple times for the same subject?
So we did not perform this. Our main conditional will be so the first two ways to process data. So the first we had, I would say, basically around 6 conditions. So the first filter was to pre-process data in different ways, and the second filters was in condition where data were acquired, but we did not bring concerns about the variability of subject state when data were acquired.
Thank you.
Any more questions? I have one myself. So, regarding the privacy issue, do you think it is feasible in an organizational sense, an ecosystem, to have an anonymization service in the middle? So, for instance, rather than sending the raw EEG signals to the metaverse applications and platforms, if there could be like an interpreter layer of abstract intent, abstract choreographies of what's going on, so that you get this sort of filtered approach, or that would basically render void the whole intent.
So this was done.
Oh, sorry. I think this was not on. Sorry. I'll just read it quickly. So my question, which I'll repeat very quickly, was whether you would think it feasible to have an abstraction layer where, rather than sending raw EEG signals to the applications, you basically interpret patterns in the EEG, interpret, let's say, behavioral choreographies and intent and other status. And so applications would get this interpretation rather than the raw thing. Or if that would cancel the entire benefits of having EEG in the first place. Sorry.
So anonymization methods have been worked on. I have seen for now an article that presents 2 ways to anonymize data. So they have, as far as I remember, the user-wise anonymization and the sample-wise anonymization. So the goal was to anonymize subject data, but without keeping. So the goal was to anonymize and make the classification of subject impossible, but without making the classification of the task impossible. So the classifiers would be able to identify the task without being able to identify the subject who made these tasks. So
thank you.
One of the presenters for paper exploring the advantages and challenges of combining GPT in the audience. Alberto Canavolo, Alessandro Visconti.
Well, you can just use words. The easiest way is just to. I just don't know. The easiest way is to follow the I'm just presenting. So, this is a most delightful for me and unexpected but delightful moment, because we have possibly the youngest presenter I've ever introduced. This is Hari Gangadharan, if I pronounced it acceptably, who comes from a charter school in the USA, and I most definitely congratulate you on presenting a work on an international conference. So without further ado, please do your presentation.
Hello everybody, my name is Hari Gangadharan, and I will be presenting my paper titled Ethical AI in VR Games, Welfare Economics for Indian Microtransactions. Without further ado, I'll start. The presence of in-game microtransactions has always remained at the center of discussion for both virtual reality practitioners and researchers. But the advent of AI and its usage in microtransactions, the issue of ethics has garnered more attention. The assimilation of new perspectives will expand the scope of interdisciplinarity of existing studies and help advance us towards a more holistic, intelligent reality.
Please, Harry, please wait a second because it's not being projected.
Can we have the presentation? Sorry.
Let's just wait until this sort out.
Okay.
I could share it from here if you prefer. Guys, may I help just a second? Okay.
Yeah, stop sharing the videos.
Okay. So it is being shared online. So you could probably just select it there. Right. If we need to move it again, let's do it in the future. There we go. Okay, is it fine? Okay, so let me discount this time. So Joaquin, I need your help with the following presenters because we have to restart this presentation.
Okay. We'll try and
Please.
So I'm going to start here. So the presence of in-game microtransactions has always remained at the center of discussion for both virtual reality game practitioners and researchers. With the advent of AI and its usage in enhancing the development and distribution of in-game advantages based on microtransactions, the issue of ethics has garnered more attention. The assimilation of new perspectives will expand the scope of interdisciplinarity of existing studies and help advance us towards a more holistic, intelligent reality. Now here's the abstract of my paper, but due to time constraints, I'm going to skip it and rather go over a quick overview of my paper. The prevailing literature on the economics of in-game microtransactions mostly examines the ethics of fixed game rewards and random loot boxes, although it looks at the morality of the distribution of in-game advantages based on the player's ability to buy items with real money. This approach leaves a gap because it only studies the outcomes of current economic structures and does not look at the morality of and new guidelines to ensure objective outcomes. Even the sparsely available literature that seeks to examine ethical frameworks focuses mainly on the philosophical and cognitive approaches and often overlooks welfare economics. This paper aims to fill the gaps in both areas by proposing a new approach to the ethics of in-game transactions. It uses welfare economics as a theoretical framework to guide the ethical considerations of AI-driven microtransactions in video games. The microtransaction business model has been central to both the virtual reality gaming industry and academic research. In the gaming industry, it drives economic gains and enhances player experiences by offering elaborate costumes, stronger weapons, and special gameplay advantages. For gaming researchers, it has been a major point of criticism, highlighting the manipulation of players for profit. The introduction of AI in designing and developing these in-game microtransactions has intensified scrutiny on its ethics. This is due to the removal of humanness in the automation process that has a solely trained focus on development of coherent virtual economies by providing fast and accurate feedback and also reducing costs. The prevailing literature has the greatest number of studies concentrated on the ethically jeopardized outcomes of its economically driven processes. As Little mentions, the word economics qualifies not well-being, but the causes of well-being, or the changes in it, meaning that the source of that economic well-being in a video game design must logically and ideally arise from the economic causes or changes within the game. Hence, it becomes crucial to diversify the ethical framework for AI training and include theories of welfare economics to guide ethical design and implementation of AI-driven in-game microtransactions. There is a wide consensus in the prevailing literature that emphasizes the need to align advancements in technology with broader social and ethical goals within society. However, there is a notable lack of studies in gaming or business research that have studied the use of welfare economics as a guide for the ethical training of AI, specifically in the context of in-game transactions. This paper undertakes a conceptual analysis of important principles of welfare economics, such as distributed justice and well-being, as a framework for guiding the ethical design of AI-driven in-game microtransactions. Distributed justice refers to the identification of an ethical basis for the division of advantages and disadvantages aimed at a higher level of total amount of good, while simultaneously considering the respect for rights, fulfillment of obligations, and the promotion of virtues. The next sections continue the discussion to bring up the significant role of welfare economics for structuring ethicality in AI algorithms. Another key principle is Pareto improvement, defined as ensuring that no further change in the distribution will make at least one individual better off without making another worse off. The paper assumes an individual player as number one, not always self-interested, number two, capable of making well-informed voluntary choices, number three, a competent judge of what they deserve or serves their interests the best, number four, they are a contextual actor, meaning that they will either use a singular or at times multiple factors to decide, number five, they are influenced strongly by their social and economic background, and number six, they are mindful of the rule of luck. This paper focuses on achieving satisficing ethical solutions rather than optimum ethicality. The word satisficing in the context of this paper implies an alternative to utility maximizing, given as the only standard for a rational decision, and what is a good enough outcome, and also to produce such an outcome under the widest set of circumstances given our boundaries. The libertarian ideology discusses the foundation of distributive justice of economic benefits resting upon what individuals deserve as a part of their productive labor, or what and how much they do. In the context of in-game transactions, the principles of libertarianism would translate into the distribution of in-game advantages in proportion to the number of hours played or levels achieved within the game. Luck egalitarianism focuses on inequalities arising from no fault or choice or brute luck. Carafodis et al. Propose using evolutionary algorithms based on, rather than the prevailing static algorithms based on fixed parameter levels. Utilitarian principles translate into providing for a decent minimum base of assets or in-game currency to all players. This can be understood further from the perspective of the second welfare theorem, which advocates an ethically conscious and economically mindful initial distribution of in-game assets to initiate each player at the same level. Fairness in AI systems involves compensating for inequalities arising out of brute luck. Temkin states that luck as a deciding factor is no fault or choice, like in luck egalitarianism, and elaborates on it by saying that luck as a deciding factor is no fault or choice, like before, for an individual, and should be compensated for distributed justice. Not highlights the importance of controlling for unfair differentiation in algorithms, emphasizing that any decision based on unfair differentiation will lead to the skewed distribution of economic benefits. The rewarded benefits of ethical play using fair means and reduced endowments as the burden of unethical in-game play should formally contract from contractarianism for all players. The well-being of an individual player, in the economic sense of the term, can be understood based on multiple theories. Pareto improvement is a cornerstone principle ensuring no individual is made off, worse off, while others benefit. The maximum happiness principle links satisfaction gained from goods and services to the increased goodness and well-being of the person. Kahneman's objective happiness defines well-being as the sum of momentary pleasures, offering an alternative way to measure player satisfaction. One practical example is time-based sorting, where in-game advantages during an event are paid, and once outside the event's time slot, the same in-game advantages are distributed for free to the least advantaged group of players. Paid individuals should be given in-game advantages for originally selected preferences, and their free in-game advantages should be distributed to economically disadvantaged players according to their equivalent substitution preferences. Future research would need to be discussed with rigorous scrutiny of each concept across multiple theories and real-life constraints to arrive at plausible, realistic solutions. It should investigate the subdiscipline of neuroeconomics to include the cognitive perspective on decision-making and what impacts happiness, well-being, and how to elevate or measure them. This paper is in conclusion, this paper is an introduction to multiple pathways and applicable theories and principles in welfare economics to guide AI in video games at an ideal time when recent exponential growth of AI in video games, business goals, social responsibility, and moral ethics find themselves inevitably entangled with each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Harry. And so, let's see who's going to place the first question. Gentleman over there, please.
Hello, my name is
Yes, you should present again because people might not be interested in your intervention earlier and may be interested now. So just nice.
My name is Renato. I study here in the University of Cambridge. First of all, congratulations. I see you're passionate about what you're studying and what you're developing. I have two questions here. As a gamer myself, I recognize that microtransactions have ruined the gaming industry for ages. But you talked about a keyword throughout your presentation, which was ethical. It was ethical not to do this or that. The problem is, and I want to ask you if you are aware of this and what can happen in the future years to prevent this, is when you're buying an in-game currency or an in-game product, you're not buying it with US dollars or with euros. You're buying it with the currency that the in-game proposes you. So you can spend a lot of money. You'll never, when you open your game, you will not see 100 euros placed there. You'll see 100 golden coins, and this allows them at this moment to do whatever they want with this. So they're basically alienating themselves from the current economical market, and that is a way to trick the ethical part of it. Are you aware of this? Are you hoping that this changes in the future?
Yes, I'm aware of that, and that was actually a big part of what I was thinking after I wrote this paper, and I'm still studying and going deeper into this subject, and I plan to write more on it, study more on it, and make more research papers on it. So this was just an introduction and one of my first papers exploring the topic.
Another question. How would you define in-game fairness?
In-game fairness as through the collective well-being of the distribution of players. I would define in-game well-being as that.
Thank you. Great answer again.
Any more questions? I have just some quick, there's not a response, but I would like to hear your thoughts. As you said, you tackled a very, very hard problem. And so, to be honest, this is what Rickle and Weber called a wicked problem. A wicked problem is something whenever you try to solve it, it changes. I'm being told to shut up by myself. But, so, a wicked problem is that anything that you try to solve, it changes. And this is the case, because whenever you institute these measures, the societal participation adapts and changes, and that can create fairness issues. Also, of course, you have 6 assumptions in the paper, which of course can all but at least 2 of them be questionable. So what are your goals moving forward to explore further from this starting point?
First of all, like you said, explore microtransactions as currencies, right? The digital currencies like Robux or e-coins or whatever they're called. I'm not sure, but explore those and how to make those fair, put constraints and limits on them, and also to explore neuroeconomics, as I had written in the paper, as it is very important and can be used very well in this topic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next, without further ado, we have a paper on exploring the advantages and challenges of combining ChatGPT with Blender by Alberto Canavò, Alessandro Visconti, and Fabrizio Lamberti, and the paper will be presented by Alberto Canavò, Alessandro Visconti. Oh, scusi. Please go ahead.
So, hello everyone, my name is Alessandro Visconti from Politecnico di Torino, Italy. I'm going to present the work reported in the paper titled Exploring the Advantages and Challenges of Combining ChatGPT. Okay. So, today, software like Blender and Maya dominate 3D graphic creation, offering tools to model, animate, and build immersive virtual worlds. However, their steep learning curves pose challenges, particularly for novice users. To address these, innovative solutions are being explored, including the integration of artificial intelligence, of course. And one promising approach is leveraging artificial intelligence models like ChatGPT as an intuitive interface for 3D design tools. Starting from these considerations, this work explores how combining ChatGPT with Blender can transform workflows, offering a user-friendly experience that bridges the gap between human interaction and 3D design. About related works, research has explored various ways to simplify the use of 3D graphic software, including voice commands or multimodal inputs. However, integrating a sophisticated language model like ChatGPT with tools like Blender is relatively unexplored. One notable example is Blender's GPT, a plugin that uses ChatGPT to interpret natural language commands and automatically generate Python scripts for tasks in Blender, such as creating random objects or applying textures. Behind automation, ChatGPT can support the creative process like brainstorming innovative ideas for game design and demonstrate in studies on serious games. Additionally, it has shown promises in education, helping design interactive learning and interactive learning experiences. So, in this study, several use cases have been identified that show the benefits brought by integrating ChatGPT with Blender, and the use cases detailed in the following. Envisage, for example, the possibility to enhance user interaction, creativity, and efficiency in various aspects of 3D modeling and design. ChatGPT can simplify, for example, 3D design in Blender using natural language input. Users can describe scenarios or an environment, and ChatGPT generates a Python script that Blender executes to create the 3D scene. This is particularly useful for architecture, game design, and virtual simulation, of course. And the script can be run in Blender's text editor or via the command line, automatically generating the scene. Alternatively, ChatGPT can produce 3D models in formats like waveforms, offering a starting point for further modeling or visualization, fostering collaborative design and discussions. ChatGPT can provide interactive and dynamic tutorial in Blender, guiding users through modeling techniques, tools, functionalities, and design principles. For example, a prompt like guide me through creating a realistic water simulation for an ancient scene results in a step-by-step guide covering scene setup, fluid simulation, materials, lighting, and rendering. ChatGPT also assists in refining designs by optimizing parameters based on feedbacks. A prompt such as optimize lighting and materials for nighttime architectural visualization generated detailed instruction to adjust lighting, materials, shadow, and rendering settings. This enhances interactive design, making the process more efficient and user-friendly. Also, ChatGPT can help users brainstorm and generate creative ideas, for example, 3D models, fostering innovation and overcoming creative blocks. For instance, a prompt like generate ideas for enhancing the interior design of a modern living room in Blender provide different suggestions, including experimenting with color patterns, the furniture, unique lighting, and mixed textures. Additional ideas include walls, indoor plants, smart home technology, board artwork, custom 3D sculptures, and styling flourishes. ChatGPT also suggests creating furniture layout and personalized touches, ensuring the space in both functional and unique, making it an excellent tool for inspiring innovative designs. ChatGPT could also automate repetitive tasks like duplicating and arranging objects in Blender. For example, it could help position multiple objects along a curve using modifiers or geometry nodes. And this is not only self-shining, but also
there's a wrong screen share for the online audience. Sorry, there is a wrong screen share on my notebooks.
This is what's going on. Okay. Sorry for the remote participants.
Okay, no problem. So, about the work for automation, ChatGPT could automate repetitive tasks like the gating and arranging objects in Blender. For example, you could add or position multiple objects, lambda curve using modifier or geometry modes. This not only saves time, but also vast efficiency and reducing the need for manual work. Another example, ChatGPT can assist in generating describing annotation or documentation for 3D models, automatically creating detailed textual explanation based on visual elements in Blender. For example, when prompted to describe a 3D model of an ancient temple, ChatGPT provides annotation covering architectural elements, materials, and historical context. It details key components like the entrance, roof, altar area, and decorative feature along with a historical background, enhancing the understanding of the 3D model. This can be especially useful for documentation, presentation, or educational problems. ChatGPT can be integrated into Blender to create educational simulation, also interactive learning in fields like architecture, engineering, or biology. For example, a prompt such as creating an educational simulation to demonstrate gravitational force in a planetary system generates a step-by-step guide to design the system. These include setting up space unit, modeling celestial bodies, applying gravitational physics through particle system, animating orbits, and adding visual elements like moons, texture, and annotation. User interaction feature can also be incorporated for engagement, ensuring the simulation is both accurate and educationally effective. ChatGPT can be used also to create storyboards and scripting animation in Blender, enabling users to describe scenes and action in a natural language, which are then automatically converted in animation sequence. For example, when prompted to script an animation about characters' journeys through a magical forest, ChatGPT generates a detailed script outlining key elements such as magical forest, such as mystical creatures, magical bridge, and also. These help users leverage Blender's animation features to bring their creative ideas to life through engaging narratives and visuals. ChatGPT can be implemented also as a support tool with Blender to help users troubleshoot issues, answer queries, and provide guides on common challenges in the modeling process. For instance, it can assist in generating rendering problems, such as blank or blank renders, by achieving camera visibility, lighting, and materials. For in renders, it suggests increasing samples, optimized lighting, and enabling denoising. Missing or incorrect render objects are addressed by verifying visibility settings, camera clipping, and object origins. To improve rendering quality, ChatGPT recommends higher resolution, anti-aliasing, and better texture quality. For slow renders, it advises optimizing geometry using render layers and simplifying materials, making it a valuable resource for resolving technical issues efficiently. I like the Blender GPT plugin, which generates and executes Python script. This research explores more flexible and creative application of ChatGPT, particularly in contexts like brainstorming. However, some challenges arise when increasing ChatGPT into Blender workflows. For instance, the output can vary even when issuing identical prompts, leading to inconsistencies, especially in tasks requiring repeatable results, such as educational simulation or student assessment. ChatGPT's limited interaction with 3D environment also pose an hurdle as it may struggle to understand Blender current state or platform complex graphic operation. Users also may need to provide highly descriptive prompts or resolve issue manually. And additionally, thanks to ChatGPT output Python script, user must have a solid understanding of both Blender scripting and natural language processing. In conclusion, integrating ChatGPT with Blender offers a more intuitive and accessible design process, unlocking new possibility. This work highlights several use cases for ChatGPT potential in Blender, but further experiments are necessary to validate its effects. Testing could focus on command interpretation accuracy, user interaction efficacy, and ChatGPT's ability to generate creative design suggestions. Such experiments would assess whether using ChatGPT as a natural language interface improves task completion time, user satisfaction, and overall modeling process, confirming its real-world value. Thank you for your attention. I hope you find this presentation useful to know our work, and now I'm ready to answer your questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and sorry for calling you Alberto Alessandro.
No problem.
Questions, one or two quick questions. We are running a little bit behind time because of technical difficulties, but we have time for one or two quick questions. Okay, so I have one question. One of the most infuriating problems with ChatGPT is when it insists of doing something that you ask him not to do. For instance, when you ask to give me an example of a room without a cat. And the output of ChatGPT will likely contain one cat. And if you are asking it to say no cats, it'll give you two cats, and so forth. Have you observed this kind of frustration with
this is a limitation of, sorry. Yeah. This is a limitation of this work. So this is the work analysis this kind of limitation in using ChatGPT for Blender. So this is a kind of limitation, yes.
This is a very interesting work, and I have to follow up quick questions. One. Have you considered doing integration with Unity 3D for?
Yeah, of course. The next step in our work is also integrate Unity and add this system, and of course test it with maybe some user because in Unity engine is easier to test with user and maybe the application or something like that.
I wish you good luck for the evaluation that you mentioned there. I think it's a very good next step.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's thank the author again. And do we have the presenter for the next paper, which is Fast Object Compositional Neural Radiance Fields by Jeffrey. It's online?
One, my name
yes.
is I'm a PhD student. I'm based on me. I'm here to present a paper titled Fast Object Compositional Neural Radiance Field. The motivator behind the work is in line with robot. As you can see, the robot manipulate trying to pick up an object from a certain location and place in another location. It is also applicable in the line of agriculture, whereby the robotic manipulator is trying to harvest berries and place in a certain location. And this can also, the robot can also harvest also unripe berries as well, which is one of the problems here. Now, for you to be able to pick up an object in the sea, you require either reconstruction of the model of that object. This is how we map the reconstruction. If you look at this, you observe that the frying pan has hole in them. This reconstruction is achieved using visual method. Look at this other one with nerve, the neural radiance field. You look at reconstruction, reconstruction is ever realistic. So, before that, we have the nerve on its own, uses a neural network model and the geometry natural multiple images came from different angles. The end of the day, start spreading these, we are able to achieve a hyper-realistic novel field synthesis, as you can see in the video. Nerve on its own has some limitations. One of the limitations is that nerve is simple, but for robotic purpose require object-specific reconstruction. Nerve its own wouldn't have a scene editing capability because nerve encodes the scene as a single model. I'll be explaining two different types of 3D reconstruction, the traditional one and the dynamic one. Now, the traditional one is the structure from motion. So, given sets of corresponding image points, we find a 3D scene point. The structure from motion is a photogrammetry technique that uses overlapping images to construct 3D models. And this is achieved by matching corresponding points. The process of matching corresponding points can be done either using template matching or scale invariant feature transform. This allows corresponding features to be matched even in large variation in scale and viewpoint. Finally, we perform bundle adjustment, which help to optimize individual camera position and orientation, focal length, and relative position of the corresponding features in a single step. Let's talk about the learning method. Learning-based method, which is neural radiance field, is a type of 3D reconstruction. It is a simple and powerful way of using neural network to do novel film synthesis. The big idea is to place trace in each input and sample points along those ways as input to the neural network. Its densities and color of each sample, and we use a concept called alpha compositing along the way to render each pixel. And we do this a few million times while minimizing the loss. It's input image and given a network whose weight encodes the shape and the color of the scene. And with this, you are able to render a new view from any other angle that was not used during training. Now the definition. Definition is we tend to develop an end-to-end object-wide 3D reconstruction for next scene with same editing capabilities. So to system will be a 3D position, a viewing direction, phi and theta, and also an object feature vector which will be gotten from you. I mean, it's an object color and object density. Then finally, we try to compare to the same using the semantic object model that have been trained. We have some related works associated with this research. One of them is object nerve. As you can see, the object nerve is one of the baseline for object level reconstruction. Its framework consists of two pathways, the same branch, and and the object branch. So the same branch, at the same branch, it takes a spatial location X and also an interpolated same voxel feature at X and the position X and the direction T. So we are able to output the same color and the same opacity. The object branch, it takes additional object voxel features and also the object activation code. This object activation code is associated with the different objects that are being detected from the image. We are able to see the object color and the object density. The next one we're talking about is instant NGP. And instant NGP is not an object level reconstruction, but a scene-based reconstruction. Why we're talking about this is because we use the neural graphics primitive, which is instant NGP, to speed up our algorithm. Instant NGP is parameterized by a fully connected neural network that can be constantly trained. In the paper, they introduce a concept called new input encoding. It permits the use of smaller networks without sacrificing the quality. But what it does is that it reduces the floating point and also the memory access. This smaller network is augmented by a multi-resolution hash table of multiple figure vectors, which values are optimized through stochastic gradient descent. Now, to make it fast, they introduce what we call the fully fused kernel, which improves the speed. They also use the positional encoding because the neural network may not inherently understand the spatial arrangement of the elements. If you look at A, which is no encoding, without no encoding, you see that it lends a smooth and a very smooth function of the position. Slide encoding also provides a way of incorporating this spatial location into the model, which is crucial for understanding the relationship between data points. It also allows the model to recognize features and patterns regardless of its position. Slide also helps to project the sample point into higher dimensional space. It encodes this information so that the neural network can process them more efficiently. Now, most successful are specific. The multi-resolution hash encoding is adaptive and efficient and independent of that. You or Tikikawa et al. 2021 uses hash tables, but modifies the hash table for specific tasks. Bring menu. Now we'll be talking about the page. So what we use here is that, so giving a model view to the image, we extract the features and the maps using YOLO pre-trained segmentation model. If you look at the object data that I explained previously, they use both voxel features and use voxel grids. These are very expensive and not memory efficient. So if you look at it now, in our own case, we use just object feature vectors that we got from YOLO. YOLO on its own is a fast algorithm for object detection. At the max rendering stage, we pass only empty arrays and zero out density values in the non-object areas. So where we don't have objects there, we just send in zero density in those areas. And the next thing we do is to train the individual net model with the object features and render the individual objects. We will repeat this for every pixel, every object, and finally all the image in the same. So we are going to read about the differences between our method, which is FOCL, and and state-of-the-art object level. So you see, our network uses object level features only. It is faster when compared to object layer and it has a simpler model architecture. The object layer, like I said, utilizes voxel width and also voxel level features. Its framework has two pathways, which is the same branch and the object layer. It also has a higher model complexity because of the voxel and the voxel features. This, our network is able to say, but for us to be able to edit the scene, we have to perform that during inference stage. So at inference stage, we only have camera positions and we don't have images. So to estimate the YOLO features during inference, we average the training features. And this can be done either using the naive averaging or the weighted mean. After doing this, we are able to combine this object only where the densities are maximum. Now, for you to combine this object, we only combine objects only where the density is at maximum. If you look at this because we only took all the areas where the density of the book is maximum, which displays the book. The next is areas where the bottom is maximum. Although we take that where up the maximum, rather than take that where the check is maximum. This can be achieved using the formula we have as displayed in this slide. But because we have different models for this object, we are able to edit the scene. If you look at this, you notice the bottle is being moved from different points to every other area in the scene. So looking at it closely, you will notice that the occluded part of the bottle is being shown in our algorithm. Now, we have some benefits associated with our method. One of the benefits is the same composition and check or the same manipulation. The same composition is that our objects are combined using the densities and the color information without necessarily retraining for the full scene. Next is memory efficient representation. It reduces memory efficiency requirement by avoiding redundant representation, which means that we only reconstruct only objects that are required one time. Next one is scene manipulation. So, being that we have each model for each object, it's easy for us to edit this object from the scene and generate a new scene configuration. Also allows us to remotely update this thing, just like I showed you in the previous slide, where the bottle comes first, the book comes next, and the cup, and then the chair. The order with which these things are being added to the scene can be determined by you. Next is the experiment. For this experiment, we use two data sets. We use the depth Figurama data set, which consists of RGB images and camera post information. We also use our camera phone, mobile phones to take images of these objects in the scene, and we use a concept called coma to compute or to estimate the camera position. For us to talk more about this, we need a quality metrics. Being that we are going to be reconstructing a new view, we need to compare that new view with an actual ground view. So one of the methods are big signal to noise ratio, learn perceptual image max singularity, and also the structural index measure. First, we'll be talking about the PSNR. The PSNR, which is the big signal to noise ratio,
Please shorten the presentation, we are going over time.
It shows the quality of the reconstructed image by comparing it with the original image. It is calculated by taking the ratio of the big signal power to the noise power expressed in decibel. Now, the interpretation of this is that when we have a high
Just present the last 30 seconds or minute. Yeah. We are.
Yeah, I'm here. The last speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, do that, please. Play.
Finally, what we propose an object-level nerve approach that segments and reconstructs individual objects using theory. It also enables object manipulation and scene recombination. Finally, our method offers faster approach for robotic application through semantic information. The future work is that we want to be able to detect objects and use the pre-trained network to initialize and later fine-tune them on new object categories.
So, thank you for the presentation. Unfortunately, we are going over time and we don't have time for questions, but you can pose it via Zoom or directly to the presenter. Thank you very much for the presentation. And we move on to the last paper in this session. Which is Brain Digital Twin combining artificial intelligence and extended reality, and I believe it will be presented by Mei Wong. Who's with the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the Georgia Institute of Technology and Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. May you have the floor.
Okay, yeah. Okay, great. So it's a long travel to be here, so I lost my voice a little bit, but I hope it's still clear because I'm a person. Yeah, so while if you haven't set up, I probably can quickly say a few words. First of all, congratulating to the team for making this happen this year. I was the ICIR conference chair for last time in 2022. So I'm so happy to see the conference going forward as planned. And Fabulous did talk to me. There is a chance next time it's going to go to Georgia Tech. That's why I flew this far to be here to join you so we can have a chance to discuss. Okay. So, so today I will. This particular session is talking about the interaction.
Please connect the HDMI cable to your laptop.
So yeah, either I can share the screen or I can directly use the HDMI. Either one is okay. Okay.
Yes, excellent.
Wonderful. So as I mentioned that, because I was involved since the beginning in the ICIR Future Direction Committee, and this is part of digital reality. So that's why 2 years ago I was co-chaired this conference with Luis. So this is actually my slides back then. Right now, personally, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S., which is the famous novel and the movie Gone with the Wind, where it is. As I mentioned that, there was a discussion, there's a chance for the next conference to go with the IEEE BHI, which will happen in Atlanta next year. So that's why I just use the opportunity to quickly show this slides. I myself is a professor in biomedical engineering, electrical and computer engineering, and the computational science and the engineering department at both Georgia Tech and Emory, which are like 4 months apart in Atlanta. So with that brief setup, I want to directly get into this paper. This paper is exactly fit the title of this session. It's talking about AI, XR, and application. What is the application? I am working in the biomedical area for more than 20 years. So our application is, like our keynote this morning, is in the healthcare and biomedical field. So today, I will talk about the brain digital twin. So there was a large team behind this work, and I do want to point out the Warren Hartwell, who is the leading scientist in my team who led this work. So, as we all know that the extended reality includes both virtual reality and augmented reality, and also artificial intelligence had made the third wave coming back. When I started my college, that was the last wave of AI, and after a few dormant years, now it's coming back. And then also, recently, there's a new thing called the digital twin. Fundamentally, the digital twin is a virtual model of a real physical model. It does capture the real-time spatial and temporal dynamics of the human physiology. So now let's take a look at what exactly the benefit when you're having all these different technology being combined. The first one is when the digital twin and the AI are combined. It's actually fundamentally improved our understanding and interpretation of both the artificial intelligence as well as in the virtual world. So one good application is in the transportation, where you have physical space and virtual space. You actually can combine them. So the sensor, user, and the model. And in addition to that, in the telecommunication and the energy engagement, and more importantly, in the healthcare, which is my main focus for my team's research. On the other hand, the virtual reality has also had a long history for similar, maybe a little shorter than AI, but it also has a long history. So the AI itself is the one combining with the extended reality. It actually improved our communication. So, for example, in the manufacturing space, in the robotics, in education, in the entertainment, this two has already been combined. But what's the difference? What's unique when you're trying to combine AI and extended reality, who all have a long history, versus the recent emerging digital twin? So the first thing is, it does give you a real-time insight. It does actually improve our communication as well as understanding. Fundamentally, is to enhance our decision-making ability. So basically, that's why we actually termed this conference to be intelligent reality. As I mentioned, Dr. Chang Wu was the one started the first ICIR in 2021. Luis and I co-chaired the second one. And then the main challenge is, if we're talking about digital twin, is actually real-time spatial and temporal combination. And how do we actually bring in the AI and XR to make a digital really powerful? The key unique challenge is we're dealing with multi-model, multi-site, real-world complex data. Especially in the healthcare area, it's highly regulated setting because human life are involved, as was this keynote talk this morning. So currently, they have already been attacked in utilizing the technology for visualizing human brain. The recent publication in the Intelligent Computing of last year, as well as in this year, the International Conference on Extended Reality, there are already preliminary study on this. There are definitely some gaps in the technology when we're trying to do 3D visualization of brain activity and human cognitive function. So first thing is that this technique are very indirect and correlated in the sense that it's not directly into this virtual reality environment. And also, we all know that for individual patients, due to huge heterogeneity of human population, it makes any genetic single model to be very challenging in accommodating to the heterogeneity. And then, in addition to that, in the real healthcare setting, there are limited spatial temporal. So now, with those challenges, we actually tackle it because there is an urgent need to develop neuroscience and neurotechnology, especially once society gets into the aging society. Neurodegenerative disease
is actually growing bigger. So, what are the key things for our new novel brain digital twin design? The first one is multi-model AI integration. We're actually really incorporated the real world clinical MRI, ECG, EEG, all kind of brain data. In this particular report, I'm going to really showing that what you see is only on 2 modalities, but in the real clinical setting, we have 7 modalities available. And then in the extended reality with virtual and augmented reality, it's interactive. And how do you actually visualize a human brain activity? By the way, activity is not function. Activity is only first step, right? The structure, actually the same second step. The first step is the structure. Second step is activity. Third step is the functionality. So currently, we're actually getting to the second step. And then the other novelty of our work is we actually incorporated a state-of-the-art HL7 FIRE, which stands for Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resource Standard, as well as brain imaging data structure and another standard. The last one is actually the one people usually don't really see it, but people would complain because that's the infrastructure. Good infrastructure make the virtual reality experience very enjoyable or make people feel suffered. So that's where we're actually utilizing a cloud-based intelligent reality infrastructure built upon Microsoft Azure at Equinix. So now, I will actually dive a little deeper. As I already mentioned that, anytime talking about plumbing behind the scene is very challenging. So I'm going to use the animation and visualization to illustrate and explain the concept as clear as I can. The first one in the design consideration is on data. The second one is on the infrastructure. The third one is on the actual application. I'm going to go through this one by one. For the first one, for the data piece, how do we actually doing the multi-model data? As I mentioned, we're going to go beyond just the imaging. Imaging is only visualize the structure. We want to go beyond that. So that's the why in our system, we're actually integrate EEG, brain EEG, MRI, and the demographic, the electronic health record data, because there's a real patient data for the real clinical care. And then on the, once we get in, the key thing is related to how to build the infrastructure so the system can automatically take in new patients when the data could be collected, and then eventually be coming back in the immersive visualization space. The second one is on the data standardization. So HL7 has been developed for over a decade, and recently, finally, FIRE is actually officially deployed not only in Europe but also in North America. It's actually our CMS also adopted. So the key concept is once we build the different data, how we actually utilize the real FIRE interoperability resource. For example, I'm listing a few here. Patient encounter document reference to make sure all the data, all the patients can talk to each other. The next one is on the data quality. All of us know when we're actually dealing with the AI, garbage in, garbage out. AI model highly dependent on the quality data. That's the reason why in our this integrated design, we actually put the data quality control as a major module here. So if a standard is not properly applied, if EEG has a bad channel detection, and if you have multi-site data, which actually are incompatible, all have some conflict information, our data quality controls module is the one handling all this data to make sure we try to get rid of the garbage and present the quality data to facilitate the AI modeling on it. Now is the second major part on the infrastructure. On the infrastructure, the number one important thing when we design this kind of a system is we have to think about the scalability when we're designing the first system here. So I'm actually putting an overall diagram, and I will dive in a little detail talking about the key concept here. So to be able to make it scalable, we're using a cloud-based system. And then to make sure the system is able to really handle multi-modality, we're actually adopt a modularized design so that whatever the AI pipeline developed from one module can be easily extended for another modality. So for example, we developed this for MRI image, which is the common brain imaging for visualizing the structure. Right now we're getting into the activity, so that's why we adopted EEG to measure activity. We're developing the system that's actually, first of all, can use a free surfer called cortical construction to reconstruct the structure and the 3D cortical structure. And then we started adopting the AI, the cloud, the idea, the point cloud idea, to do a dipole source space generation. That's start getting into AI space. And as a result of it, jointly together, combining the AI and the cloud-based infrastructure, we're able to do the dipole on 3D surface, reconstruct the human brain. Then, to be able to make it even more generalizable, we're actually utilizing the modularized infrastructure. So, for example, again, started with imaging, because when we're thinking about brain, the structure always started with imaging. You have Azure ML, you use the Azure cloud storage, you use the Fire standard, and then combining with the Unity for visualization. And then we immediately utilize the modularized design to go to the EEG space, basically reuse all the module we designed, but customize it to the activity now. Then combining together, the more important thing, as I mentioned, one major challenge for the healthcare space is privacy. You don't want to breach patient privacy. As a result of it, we're actually utilizing a token, introduced a Security Act and security and privacy. So I know like I was being alert, there only 1 minute for me. So as a result of it, let me quickly show you this the video here. So this is how the system is working. There is okay, so I hope that the video is running. Can you hear the sound? Okay, let me quickly introduce it. So basically, this is our demo to show how this works. It's really combined immersion for 3D reality application. And for user interaction, you can actually use your iPhone to put a module. As a result of it, you get into the immersive system. Everything now is in the immersive system. So basically, you're creating the 3D digital twin, combining with the real digital twin, using the real temporal and the spatial data, but you actually utilize the XR application to run this. So this is our current human brain activity we developed as of this stage. I know like the sound is not coming. You can actually visualize the different function, the activity in the brain, utilizing the based on the real patient data. Yeah, there are the recording here explain the different cue here. But let me actually go back to my slides. I know like I'm going to summarize right now. So basically, let me summarize. So basically, in this novel brain digital twin, we're actually, as I said, we build upon the existing work in visualization, but we get into more activity. And so currently, our infrastructure can deal with the large data because we're using a cloud, and we can actually we are able to ensure the real-time integration. There's definitely performance cost lag, the latency. As a result of it, we have actually to reduce the frame rate. But meanwhile, though, we actually implemented safety and privacy to prevent attack and protect the patient privacy. And currently, we're utilizing two kinds of metrics. The first evaluation metrics are quantitative, like latency, cost, frame rate, data bandwidth, and model accuracy. The second type of metrics are qualitative, such as usability, user experience, and the confidence in XR. We are also getting into, remember I was mentioning about one of the major challenges for personalized medicine is related to personalization, but because the huge heterogeneity among people. So how do we actually maintain the scalability, generalizability, while maintaining individuality? That's what we're evaluating at this moment. So as already summarized, we have multiple modules that are reusable, so we can easily add more modality beyond the EEG. They can get to cognitive. We have another 4 modalities way to be integrated. At this moment, we're improving the real-time streaming and also the fast processing, further improve our privacy. With that, I finish my presentation. Thank you very much.
We have gone seriously over time, but I guess there will be time for one quick question from the audience, and then you can ask directly questions from Professor Mei Wang after during the lunch, and she'll be here to answer. So, one quick question.
One is a really quick one. I'm not from this area, but I'm just curious. You mentioned digital twin plus AI. I'm just curious what's the difference between that and IoT and maybe something I've learned from IoT. Maybe it's just I'm not from there, but I'm just curious about it.
So the fundamentally digital twin is a real-time dynamic tracking of both temporal and the spatial. So that's what the definition of digital twin. AI is you are adding another component. For example, in our case, the digital human brain. If I actually go ahead and morph the human brain based on the morphological change, that itself is only satisfied the digital twin piece. But meanwhile, we actually use point cloud because we're trying to simulate the activity. That's about the AI algorithm. So IoT, medical, not only IoT, but medical IoT, is actually the one that will feed into the, both the infrastructure as well as the AI piece. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This was the session on AI, extended reality and virtual reality applications. I would like to do a shameless plug for IEEE ICIR2025 that will be in my university in Lisbon. Tried to share the screen via Zoom, but it didn't work. Anyway, registrations are open, and enjoy this lovely conference and register for next year to attend the IEEE ICIR2025. Thank you for showing up, and don't miss the rest of the conference here.
Okay, thank you.
And let's thank all the participants.
So here under this QR code, you can vote for the best presentation. Okay, and I would like to invite you to move to the lunch upstairs, the same place where we have the coffee break. And those people that are willing to visit ISR's lab, we will start. We will have to be there at 1:30. So please try to eat as fast as possible, because my colleagues are only available at that time. Okay, thank you. But by the way, the room is going to be closed, so you can leave your stuff here if you want. So we will close it and we will open it for the afternoon session.
Thank you. Anyway, consider